Hello everyone, Taco here, and I hope you're doing well. I'm so excited for this because I get to unbox this particular box that I have right here. For those of you who are not familiar, this is from Leofoto. They are a Chinese company that makes support systems for cameras, for videos, and outdoor equipment. So they were kind enough to send me this particular tripod for me to test out and review. Nothing else was exchanged for this purpose. Now, the model that they sent me was the LS-365 CEX Plus PG-1. Now, that is a mouthful, but there are reasonings behind those numbers. The 36 and the 365 stands for the 36 millimeter width, maximum width of the leg. And the 5 means that it is a 5-section tripod, and the PG-1 is a model number for the actual gimbal head that comes with this particular combination. Now, a gimbal head, don't get confused with a mobile gimbal or a mirrorless camera gimbal. This gimbal head is stationary on top of a tripod, and it balances out the weight of your camera and lens so that you don't have to worry about holding it in its place at all times. So I'm very excited to test this out because for those of you who've been following me on my videos, you'll know that I do like to do a lot of wildlife or bird photography. So in doing so, I typically use my standard tripod and ball head, or a standard tripod and a fluid head. So those two particular heads serve different purposes for various scenarios. And this is actually my very first time using a gimbal head. So I'm very excited to be able to compare and contrast and find out what the pros and cons are between this particular gimbal head, the ball head, and the fluid head that I have. So let's move on with this unboxing. All right, so here is the package itself. I'm not sure if you can see that right there. All right, so what do we have here? First of all, I just want to make a comment on this case. It's actually very nice, very compact, nicely padded, so it protects the gimbal and the tripod itself. Normally, I don't really use cases. I prefer to just hold the tripod in my hand and go around walking about. But since the gimbal head and tripod are two pieces, perhaps this case might come in handy. Now, what do we have here? We have an envelope with an Arca Swiss plate, so you can attach it to your lens collar or lens foot. And then we have a pocket here on the outside sleeve. What do we have in here? We have your instruction manual and some Allen keys in case you need to make some adjustments. And we have some spiked legs which you can use to replace the existing rubber legs that or rubber feet that are on your legs. So that's all for that pocket there. And now we have our gimbal head right here. Wow, that's pretty nice. So here's the gimbal head. It's pretty much like an L bracket, as you can see here. And we have a few knobs here. I'll go through all these a little bit later. And then we have your Arca Swiss clamp right there. So that's the gimbal head right there. Now we'll have the tripod right there. So very nice, very stiff. So one thing I noticed that these are actually very well constructed, very robust, yet light for what they are. This gimbal head, I believe, is aluminum based, but you can see how this construction is very sturdy, and it should withstand a lot of wear and tear. Similarly, for the tripod legs, this is made from carbon fiber, but again, very sturdy feel to it. The legs here is 36 millimeters at its widest point, and the movement here is very stiff, presumably because it is brand new. I think if I use it a lot more, it will loosen up a little bit. And one thing that I'm actually noticing right off the bat here is the grip of the tripod legs where you twist to extend it and retract it. It's a little bit of a different feel than what I'm used to with my other tripod, and I'm guessing it's because of the paint or the coating or whatever it is that they use to have the camouflage design on it. So it's making this feel a little bit, I'm going to say stiffer or a little bit slippery in my grip. So it's something that I will have to get used to in order to be able to close this and open it properly. But as you noticed, very smooth. Just check that out, very smooth. And there are indeed 5 segments to this tripod. So you have your 4 different grips there. And what else do we have here? The top section right here, it is the half bowl or the self-leveling base. And I did a YouTube video on this last year because I found this out last year. But this self-leveling base is so convenient because if you had your tripod on an unlevel surface, what I always used to have to do was to individually adjust the legs, extend the legs or retract it depending on what my angle was like, and it did take a very long time. But now with the self-leveling base, all I need to do is twist this lever, and now the self-leveling base actually has about a 15-degree leveling capability in all directions. So after I find the exact level using the bubble right there, I can tighten it, and now I'm fine. I don't have to individually have to level my tripod by extending and retracting the legs. So it does save a lot of time, and I'm super glad that a tripod and gimbal head like this comes with a self-leveler like this. So very happy about that. With respect to the tripod legs, I see we have this. There we go. So this allows you to angle your tripod legs in 3 different increments. I believe this is about 18 to 20 degrees by default, the first level here. And then if I pull this out, we have your second angle, probably about 50, 60 degrees here. And then finally, the last one, which is almost 90 degrees. So if I had all 3 legs spread out like this, I can have this tripod right to the ground, and I can have the gimbal head right near the ground surface as well. So that's perfect for shorebirds or birds just running around on the ground like that, because you want to be able to get to the eye level of the birds. So right here. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but both the gimbal head and the tripod are actually in camouflage design, and this is specifically for this model. They do have a non-camouflage model of the tripod itself as well, in case you do not need a camouflage design. But I got this specifically because it was camouflage, and I don't know if it's just myself, but I thought this was very unique, and I welcomed the camouflage design, because if you've been following me on my YouTube channels, you know that I like to do birding and wildlife. And when I'm out there, I often find that I have my black camera, my black lens, my black or gray tripod, and I'm walking around the field or the trees looking for these birds. From a bird's perspective, all they see is this black blob coming towards them, and obviously that's going to scare them away and make them fly. So I have noticed that even if I use my green rain cover on my lens, it allows me to get just a little bit closer to the birds before they fly away, or they just don't fly away altogether and they stay there, allowing me to photograph them. So having this camouflage design incorporated into the tripod and gimbal head is a very big advantage and a welcome design that I don't think I've ever seen before in any other tripods. Now let's just attach this here. Now there we are. So that's pretty much how your gimbal head is going to look like. And we have a few knobs here. This knob here will allow you to twist the camera and lens combination around like this. And this knob here will allow you to swing your camera and lens combination like this. And finally, we have an Arca Swiss clamp here where you put in your lens foot and then your lever here to tighten it up. Now on the other side here, we have this lever here that allows you to bring your camera and lens up and down like this, and that's for the purpose of balancing your gimbal head. And I will go through that in another video, but for this purpose, I just want to make sure that I cover everything of this tripod. And I see there are a bubble level right here as well, so that you can tell that your gimbal head is level. So we have two of them, one small one here on the self-leveling base and one level on the actual gimbal head right there. So let's find out how high this was going to go, and I'm going to retract all the legs and we'll see how high that is. All right, so I moved my table and I'm going to spread out all the legs. Okay, so here is the tripod with all of the legs extended all the way and the gimbal head right on top. So you can actually see that if I had my camera on top here, it is well above my head. What am I? I'm about 5'9", 5'10", somewhere around there. So this is more than high enough for myself to be able to use this gimbal head. Let's see how sturdy this tripod is when it's fully extended. Oh wow, check that out. I'm putting a lot of pressure downwards. I see absolutely no flexion in all three of the legs. So it's very sturdy. So I have full confidence in that it is capable of handling my heaviest gear, which is my Nikon Z9 and the Z800 f6.3. And so that's very cool. This height here is very well welcomed because this tripod actually doesn't have a center column. All of my previous tripods had a center column, which allowed you to extend the height of your camera even more. But since this doesn't have a center column, I'm glad that this tripod actually goes this high with just the legs alone, so that I don't really need a center column to raise or lower my camera. So an advantage of not having that center column is, like previously demonstrated, I can spread out the legs completely and then the tripod can actually be a lot lower to the ground like that. For the first impressions, I think I just mentioned it. Everything is well constructed, very sturdy, feels really good in the hands as well. The carbon fiber does make the legs feel a lot lighter. For the actual width, it is 36 millimeters at its widest point. And then similarly, the gimbal head, it's aluminum based, so it is very light as well. Yet it feels very sturdy in the hands. Everything is so smooth. Everything feels so smooth that I'm actually looking forward to seeing if this works with video mode as well, because it's so smooth. So that will be an added bonus for the gimbal head, because I never actually thought of doing video with that. But I'm looking forward to actually using this out in the field itself. Again, the leveling base here is something that I'm very excited about, because it is a very convenient thing to have on a tripod. That's pretty much it for this Leofoto Ranger LS 365 CEX and the PG-1 gimbal head. So if you have any questions or you want me to test out something on this gimbal head, please let me know. I'll be testing this out for the next few weeks and probably write a blog review on what my findings are. So be sure to let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for watching my video and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care.